Hello, I'm Dinus the Mirror.
So we are on our way to Gambia. It'll be my first time going to Gambia. I'm looking forward to it. And then I'm gonna swing back through Senegal in a couple days. May head back to America. So those are the plans for right now.
Around him as black people.
He does.
Yeah,
we met
yeah.
Sam, we met Leonard.
Yeah, we met his manager.
We met his business manager.
And this
we met
sort
Sam
of a
Watson.
good black team around him. You know, but we got to get this trust issue sorted out. We got to realize that we're as valuable as any other race. You know, we seem to look to the white man for everything. As you know, we praise them as gods for years. Because that's what they do. They put that in our mind that we're not good. It's just like having the children. If you keep telling the child that it's not going to be nothing in life, if we grow up, they won't be. And that's what they've been doing to us, conditioning us to make us feel inferior. But we need to eradicate that. We need to start to trust each and every, just trust our brothers. You know, we have very good lawyers, we have very good accountant, but the problem with us, we're not using our own resources. You know, that's why our money goes out to our community faster than any other community.
6 minutes it stays in our community.
Yes, that's 6 minutes.
You know?
And other communities, it goes around for like 6 months before it even comes out. The Jewish community is like 6 months.
Yeah.
And our spending power is great. If you check the spending power of America,
Trillions.
1.8 trillion per year, that's serious. So that's why I was saying, the last march we should be doing is marching to the airport and saying goodbye. Then they will speak to us. Because now they're going to realize the revenue that leave, that will damage the economy.
So that's reparations,
They don't want us
but
to leave.
repatriation.
They don't want us to leave.
Dr. Umar said.
That's why we have to march. That last march is to the airport, getting out.
Julia, let me ask you this. Why Gambia? I know a lot of people, Ghana's been hot.
Yes.
Obviously when it comes to repatriation. Ghana. Why Gambia? BLAXIT family.
I think Gambia for me is sort of like an untouched jewel in Africa. Not only that, they speak English here, and for me, if you're repatriating somewhere, if I'm to repatriate to Senegal and I don't speak French, it's going to be a problem for me.
Right.
Yeah. So I've got to look at firstly distance. I've got to look at affordability in terms of traveling to other places around Africa. I've got to look at the strategic location and the developments within that country so that I can go and do further business developments. So I'm looking at the opportunities that are there. So for example, if this already saturated with certain industries, then how am I going to have my entry point into those industries? And business is essential for me as being as part of this community is to create employment. The best way to create employment is to obviously offer enterprises and business opportunities that are going to give, for example, training and skilled knowledge and knowledge transfer, as well as gainful paid salaries to those workers that we engage. So for me, it was important that Gambia had all of those, even though I've been to other countries, Gambia had all of those opportunities in a nutshell. Not only that, it's relatively virgin land is Gambia, so it's relatively untouched. So therefore, you have more opportunities here to do manufacturing, agri-processing. For example, there are tourism opportunities here that are untouched, never even been catered to at all here. So there's lots and lots of things that you can do. So that's the reason why I believe not only that, it's a smiling coast of Africa, and it is the smiling coast. People are very affable, people are very friendly. People are very accommodating, they're very hospitable, and they're very understanding of our journey. For example, Abdul here, who I really like you to speak to, because obviously he's a Gambian and he's a teacher here, and we have insurmountable debates about fiat currency, about consciousness, about Pan-African issues. And I just feel that there's an understanding here amongst the people that I mix with who understand not only my journey, but also my experience. And not only my experience, but also they're helping us to become more a part of the community here. They care about us becoming more submerged in the community here. So they will share their culture, and especially their spiritual culture and the spiritual journey. So like Abdullah will take us to his village where we will learn to understand a lot about the if you like, the mores and the cultural initiations that people go through, so we can understand it. And we can understand the differences as well, because it's like there's a cultural gap between us, you know. There is a cultural gap, and in bridging that gap, it's about understanding. And I feel that, and they're really a loving community.
As far as bridging the gap.
Yeah, and it's very beautiful. It's a very, very beautiful country, and you can live here relatively stress-free. And I feel very, very safe here. I feel incredibly safe, incredibly happy, and it's affordable. You know, economics plays a huge part in coming here. You can afford to live here. What we pay for our compound is the equivalent to someone, you know, renting a room in England or living in a one-bedroom place.
You know, in San Francisco, they're renting bunk beds. Like a bunk bed is like $1,200, $1,500 a month.
Well, it's even less than a bunk bed.
Yeah.
It's less than a bunk bed then in San Francisco. So, and you can have a 6-bedroom, 5-bathroom, 2-kitchen compound for that money and live comfortably here. So why would I want to live anywhere else? And on top of that, I think Gambia is in the process of change. It's in the process of revolutionary change in terms of coming into itself with democracy, also with hearing the voices of the youth. I think, you know, from what I've seen, going to the youth summit, going to award ceremonies, engaging with different groups and different people, I see, and students here, I see a new Africa emerging, and I see it emerging from the Gambia.
You want to add to that, Miss?
I think I would say a little bit different, because as I said, I give the good, the bad and the ugly.
Okay.
Gambia is my first choice because it's stable, the economy is stable. We've not had a civil war here before.
Really?
No, we've not had a civil war.
No, that's
here.
Senegal's claim to fame. So there's never been a civil war in Gambia either. I didn't know.
We had a coup d'etat, bloodless coup d'etat in '97, and we've never had a civil war here like Sierra Leone and other places.
Okay.
So it's still relatively untouched. Yes, people are very friendly here. They're quite religious, so I think that has a lot to do with their behaviours as well, because of the religion. Even though I'm not religious, but I respect their religion, and I respect what it has done for them in terms of, you know, the way they treat each other.
Right.
We are quite welcome in here. Not enough at times, because the understanding is not always there that we are part of them. There's a detachment from our ancestors that were taken away and us coming back. That connection has not been made, and that's not been made because the education's not here. Because you have to understand that the colonial education is still a big part
That's
of here.
consistent throughout all Africa.
Exactly. So that's where the disconnect comes between us and the Gambia. So right now we're making sure that message is being given, that, you know, we're no different. We were dropped off in the Caribbean and America, but we're the same people.
Exactly.
We are our ancestors' return. So that message is like, we're not different people. We're not completely new people. We are the same Africans that left this shore hundreds of years ago. We've just come back in a different form with a different upbringing. That's the difference. But I think Gambia is very small, so it's very easy to navigate yourself around here, even if you may not want to stay here completely. But it's good to use this as a stepping stone to then go on to Ghana, Sierra Leone, Liberia, wherever you want to go, because it's a good grounding. You know, as Judith says, the English is here. You know, you get a good rate for your money here. You can do a lot here. It's relatively easy to buy land and build a home and start a business. There's a lot of that going on here, so that's quite easy. But there are some systems here that need fixing. Democracy is here now. What does that mean in Africa? Is that a Western term. We're used to chiefdoms. It's very different. Now, some people might say chiefdoms mean dictatorship. No, it doesn't. If you read someone like Chancellor D. Williams, The Destruction of the African Civilization, he will explain from A to Z what our systems were, and it worked for us. Democracy is something that was brought to us, but it's also controlled by others. So there's a mismatch in terms of what does democracy mean and whether it's good for Africa or not. I'm not saying that we should have dictatorships here, because we shouldn't, because Africa's a free nation, it's a sovereign nation, but we have to be careful how we grab onto other systems that were brought to us and how it controls us. We have to be very careful of that. We know that most of our governments are puppeteers for somebody else. Just look at what happened to the AU ambassador recently. Now, you know, this is the paymaster, but she told the truth. She was entitled to tell the truth.
And we're talking about the AU.
Yeah, it's our story, and we should be telling that story. So we have to be careful about what we grab onto and run with, and whether it's good for us or not. And the debate is still open about democracy and what it really means and what impact that might have on us. We are sovereign people, we are free people, we have our own system, we've always had our own systems. And when you look at the West, really their systems are just emulating what we have had beforehand, but they've bastardized it. And you know, when we talk about corruption in Africa, yes, there is some, but where did they learn it from? Who's pulling the strings? Yeah, who's giving the sweeteners? It's no different to, you know, how we became enslaved hundreds of years ago. So Gambia is an excellent choice. It's really good for our people in terms of navigating, as I said. It's really good in terms of the stress we're coming from, to come to a less stress-free place. You can work here, you can live here. You know, when you're in the UK, you work to pay bills. And
same thing in America.
Yeah. So, you know, at the end of the month, you look at what's left in your hands. There's nothing left. And you think, well, why did I work all month? You know, everything is tax, tax, tax. When I was telling somebody we even paid tax to watch the TV, they couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it's true.
Now,
and on the phone.
In Africa,
Phone,
you can have less than 10 bills a month. Less than 10 bills a month. You know, you can have, the Creator's given us some. You can have your solar, so you don't have to pay for electricity. You can have your water under the ground. You can have fresh water, the borehole. So there's no water, there's no electricity bills, if you choose to live that way. Yeah, you can build your house mortgage free. In the UK, you know, you've got this noose around your neck for 25, 30, 40 years. They're now talking about a 100-year mortgage.
You have a 40-year mortgage in the UK?
You can. They're now talking about passing your mortgage on to your children. So now it's even becoming generational. So you see, there's no life.
Generational debt.
Yeah. Whereas here, what I like about here, what you have in your purse is what you spend. There's no debit card, there's no credit card, there's no debt. If I have it today, I'll spend it. If I don't have it, doesn't matter. Yeah, I like that. I can go and buy fresh fruits and vegetables.
Fresh for cheap.
Fresh for cheap.
Yeah.
And you know, as a vegan, that's my main diet, so I rely on that. So it's a really good choice. It's an easy choice. There are other developed African nations which are probably not as cheap as Gambia. Remember, Gambia is probably about 50 years behind.
Gambia is very inexpensive.
Yeah, it's economical.
It is getting expensive compared to years ago. If you came here 10 years ago, it was even cheaper. But like everything, you know, it goes up. Yeah, inflation. But still, the inflation is nothing like the West, where, you know, you might pay £20 for something one year, the next year it's £50. And there's no explanation, it's just the way it is, and you've got to pay it. You've got to pay it. But yeah, so for me here, as an older person, if I was in the UK, I would be struggling. I would have to work 40 hours a week just to
40?
make
60.
Now you're talking. I was doing 3 jobs.
Right. Well, I was quite fortunate. I only had to work one job, and that was sufficient. But
well,
you know,
my one job, it was still 50, 55. I had bonus, so.
No, well, we have working time directive. Unless you opt out, like if you're a doctor or maybe an oil rig worker or whatever, you can opt out of that because you might have to work more hours. But the majority of people work 35 to 40 hours, and that's regulated. Because otherwise there's no work-life balance. So as I said, as an older person, you know, there comes a time where you don't want to be working all week. you want to have some enjoyment. Now they're talking about working till, I think it's 75. You know, that's no life. So that means you start working at, say, 16, maybe 21 if you've left university, and then you work till 75. Where is your rest period? There isn't any.
You don't have one.
There isn't any.
You don't have
So,
one.
you know, I would say to people, if you can, plan it so that maybe by 55 is the maximum and you get out of work.
No,
And then you
55
start
is too
enjoying.
low.
That's too old. I'm
That's
trying to
too
get
old.
Well, you know, not everybody. Remember, if you don't have a particular career, you might not be able to do that. I retired at 50, but I was able to do that because of the career I had. But if you don't have that, you may not be able to do that. So I would say 55 is a good age. You know, I got my parents out of work by that age. Because, you know, as far as I'm concerned, you don't need to be working. Once your children get to a certain age, then you should be able to slow it down if you're able to. But you have to plan that, because some people may have started late, and, you know, I know people that have still got children under 10, and you can at 55, so that at least, let's say you've got another 30 years of that. You can have 30 years of enjoyment and rest. But working till 75 is no life at all, because the body starts breaking down, arthritis sets in, and, you know, maybe other illnesses, high blood pressure, cholesterol. Where are you going to get that rest period to enjoy your life?
Well, I'm 37, and I think I'm 5 years behind as far as getting over here permanently.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, I'm like 48, and Adrian's a bit younger than me, and we still feel that we should have done it earlier.
Yeah.
Well,
And even when you got children, like here, it's like you bring your children with you, and yeah, you know, you have the education system.
So I'm 37.
But,
I'm like, I'm running.
Well,
I
I'm
feel like
40.
I'm running out of time.
I'm 46,
Yeah.
so I'm 3 years behind Julia. But my story is very much different. Yeah, especially coming from the Caribbean. You know, I'm coming from a place, Montserrat, it's still a colony of Britain. So yes, they still have colonies around the world.
Yes.
And this has been there from since the time of slavery. So Montserrat depend a lot on England. You know, as a colony, England does support them. We don't have nothing to really stand on our own. So coming from that economy and moving into England is a different ball game. I mean, when I got to England first, 1997, it was like, where am I? I'm in a strange place. Coming from a population that never exceed 12,000. Yeah? That's how small Montserrat is. 39.6 square
See, in
miles.
America, we'll say your country.
I never see train, I never see elevators, all these things. It's not here, yeah? You're talking about one main hospital, about 2 or 3 petrol stations. So, could you imagine that experience?
Right.
To now come within a society with 70 million? So when
Absolutely, yes.
when it took me to Notting Hill Carnival first, and I see so many black people, I start feeling, you know, because I've never seen so many people. Yeah, at one place. So yeah, so I did learn stuff in America, in the UK, right? And when I now moved to Gambia, I realized there's a similarity between the Caribbean and Africa, and that's why I sort of love Gambia, because it's like you're winding down
Right.
from the stress of Europe. Because we used to work as I work as a bus driver, and then I become operational supervisor within the bus company. And I know, trust me, I wake up any hour of the day to go to work.
Right.
So my body clock is all out of sync right
Yeah,
now.
because I mean, if you're dealing with bus operation, that's a
Any time
5,
of
6
day.
o'clock a.m.
Yeah.
Show up to
Sometimes
work.
you can sign off 5 minutes to 9. Some days, next day sign on 10 o'clock. Next day 2 o'clock. It just madness.
Right.
You know? So coming to Gambia, it slow it back down to me, remind me of the Caribbean. You know, but differently. Africa has a lot of potential for us that coming back to the motherland. And if we start to work together, pool our money together, as you see the Chinese do, the Indians do, when we start doing that, we'll become a force to reckon with. You know? Because with the returnees, if we pool our resources together, we'll be able to put down supermarkets, we'll be able to do exactly what you said the Chinese doing, do exactly what the Indians doing. But we've got to again come back to this trust issue. This is where, and I keep stressing that point, this is where we're falling down.
Right.
We don't have that trust issue, and we got to sort it out. You know, when we sort it out, we will see the fruits of our labor. And yeah, we return is coming back with the education. We understand the white people, the Tobabs. We know the games. We know their tricks.
Right.
Yeah, here, the people here might not know it as much because they come with a lot of trinkets and start making themselves look great, you know? But because, especially for Shakina and Juliet and them, that born there, And one thing you have to realize,
And
they're the
Amma.
first.
Yeah.
They're the first generation of black people born in the UK. You know, most of the parents are from the Caribbean or Africa. So they're the first generation of black. So their story, as I was saying, they're the first generation of black born in England. To show you that slavery was just around the corner. The enslavement of our ancestors was just around the corner. You're looking at your great-great-grandparents. They were enslaved Africans. And there was no legacy that left. Even in England, I get in an argument with some of these white people. They come saying, oh, we're doing great. I say, yes, you have a legacy. Your foreparents hand things down to you.
Yeah.
But we will take us to the Caribbean. Generational wealth.
Yeah.
We never had that. We never had no generational wealth handed down to us. So that's very important for us to come back to Africa. And as Shakina approached about citizenship, for us returning, instead of waiting. How long is it? 12 years?
15 years.
15 years. It's like we should have this automatic. It should be our automatic rights to return home to our motherland and automatically granted citizenship. You know, and that's something that is very important to work on. You know, I know Jules done that interview with Halifa Saleh, and he really understands us coming back from the diaspora. But we're coming here to help. We're coming here to give employment to the people of Gambia. You know, that's our mission of coming back here. It's not to come and take, we're coming to give. You know, how to get Africa back up.
I think it's to share.
I think
it's sharing
yeah,
as
I
well.
think more than just giving, it's about a reconnection.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we've been away for 500 years,
Yeah.
and that's too long. You know, we've been raised by foster parents that had no interest in us whatsoever.
No.
So we have to come back and reclaim our sovereignty and our freedom. And you know, I always remember that scene in the film Amistad where Dijman, who played the actor, who played the guy in the story, where he said, you know, we are free Africans. We were free. You took us as free people. Why are we here now in chains? And it's the same for us. We were taken away and we were enslaved, but we are free people. And when we come home can we enjoy that freedom again. Because we didn't enjoy that freedom there. And, you know, I say to people all the time, yes, we were born there, but we were never accepted there.
Yeah, exactly.
Never ever accepted. It's always, where do you come from? Go back to Africa. I mean, I was born in the 60s, and you know, where's your tail? You wog, you coon, you nigger, all these things.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Wog, gollywog, jubilee
Everything.
lips.
Listen,
We
in
got
the
it all
60s,
chocolate face,
yeah,
food face.
in the 60s in the playground, they would lift up girls' skirts. We want to see your tail. All that nonsense. We had to lick some.
Listen, we had to
lick
fight
them
our
down.
way. Even
Yes.
me, yeah.
Amma, you want to
It's the same story. Amma, you got the
of course,
same
same.
experience.
Yeah,
Are you serious?
Yeah,
Yeah.
They were that bold?
yeah, of course. My brother used to run away from skinheads chasing them home
Yes.
from
Oh,
school,
I
you
want to
know.
see that. There's that movie coming out about the guy, the black skinhead.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it's gonna be a good movie. The actor, he was in Oz. He's from the UK. He's a
Yes.
Nigerian,
Okay.
Yeah.
and so he was a black guy that joined the skinhead.
I just said, oh.
Oh,
This
wow.
Yes.
the lady that last film came out, when they see it. They actually
Yeah.
suing the lady.
They're
now.
suing her, yeah.
Yeah.
Suing
Ava
her.
did-
Ava
When they see
Deserve.
us.
That's crazy,
The
yeah.
police force is suing.
They're suing
He had to
her.
So
run from the
obviously they
skinhead.
had to, they had to walk in groups. You couldn't walk freely by yourself as a young black person in London, especially Norwood. So obviously, my experience, me coming back to Africa, is my reconnection with my roots, with my people. And I obviously wanted my children to grow up here. My older children grew up in different parts of Africa. We left in 2005, went to Spain, and then from Spain we drove 10 days on the road from Spain to Morocco and then to Senegal, and lived in Senegal for about a year and a half. Our children went to an international school, so they learned French and they were learning Wolof. And then from there went to Cameroon, which is where my ex-husband was from. And then from there I went right back to the UK because the children were tired of living on a plane, living out of a suitcase, living in hotels, and they wanted to be grounded, you know. And their problem was that they couldn't have friends long enough. They couldn't make friends long enough to, you know, they weren't formulating solid relationships. And my son at the time, he was about 16 when we went back to the UK so that he could go back to school. And then I had my last child there, and I made the decision in 2014 that once I finished uni, I was leaving. So my exit was really and truly meant to be last year, but my middle daughter had a baby, so I stayed around to support her. And I said once he got to a certain age, I was leaving. I had a business running. I was doing, I bake cakes, so that was my business. In
You know, I love to eat.
yeah, I know you said you got a sweet tooth. Yeah. The support issues from all ends, and more than anything else, stress. So I ended up closing that in July, and I thought, right, well, that's it. I've had enough. I'm going.
You go open up the cake business here?
Yeah, I plan to do it here. Yeah, I plan to, because my original plan was to open it here, but I thought, okay, well, since I'm going to be here for maybe at least a year while the baby grows and, you know, becomes a little bit stronger. He had some health issues when he was about 2 weeks old. So I thought I would stay, and then if it doesn't work, I'll come to the Gambia. So when it didn't work, I just thought, well, my ancestors are saying to me, it's time to leave now. So I closed the business, and then I started to pack my things up. And, you know, my daughter had been homeschooled for the last 2 years, because I didn't like what I was hearing about the schooling system, and I could see what was coming, and I don't agree with what a lot of the policies, a lot of the behaviors, a lot of the culture. So that's one of the main reasons why I took her out of school, and I said, we're going back to Africa because this is where we come from, this is where we should be building, and I would rather take my money and come here and invest it rather than sit there, struggle, not really having much of a life because the weather's not great. Everything is so expensive, so to go out and have a really, really good day, you're spending a lot of money. Right. You know, so I said to my daughter, you know, the beach is free, we can walk about, your fruits are cheap, you know, it's a better life, it's a much better life. So that was my main reason for coming back, as well as wanting to connect with the locals, to educate the youth, who can hopefully educate the elders, because there are a lot of them that, you know, don't speak any English, so they speak the traditional language. So if we can educate youth on race pride, African pride, our spirituality, that's another reason why I came back here. I love the idea of meeting people who are non-religious, and actually meeting people who actually practice African spirituality. So I just feel like that's what we're supposed to do. We're meant to come back, reconnect, pick up our culture, let go all the other stuff that hasn't really benefited us. Right. Because our people have been praying, have been begging, have been, you know, handing out or waiting for somebody else to resolve our issues, and we're still suffering for it. Nothing has changed. So really, it's us that has to do the work. We've got to roll our sleeves up and get our feet dirty. It's simple as that in order to build Africa back. So, you know, I implore everyone. I came out here on my own, no husband, with my daughter. Obviously, I have good friends here. I call family. So I knew I had some support system to come back to. Not a lot of people have that. Right. But I just want people in the diaspora to know that, you know, don't let anything hold you back. Don't let your circumstances dictate your future. You know, come back, save your money, get rid of the things that are really not necessary in your life, because we have attachments to things. Yeah. And these things are not really beneficial, you know. So get rid of those. Yeah, it just holds you back. Get rid of those things and come and visit Africa. Instead of going to Spain, instead of going to Dubai, come to Africa, come to Black Africa, come and reconnect with your people, come and see for yourself. Forget what the media's doing, because all they're doing is showing the negatives, but they won't show you the negatives of the countries that you're residing in.
No.
Come and see for yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is,
this is Seth, this is my brother.
Hey, Seth.
And he came when we were coming. We said to him, do you want to stay in England? Or do you want to come back to Africa with us? And he made his own choice for his own reasons too, and he has his own voice. You go ahead, bro.
Well, I came here.
Speak up, Shakina.
I find this a wonderful place. It's beautiful. Yeah. I'm more independent here. Travel a lot more. I find now I got my scooter. Riding around, you know, learning the languages slowly.
But he has responsibilities here. In England, you know, my brother faced challenges around disabilities and so on. And here, he's freer. He's just grown so much in the last few months. It's almost amazing to see how my brother is coping here in Africa compared to how he was coping in the UK, and I feel that his potential is unlimited here. Disability doesn't stop you from being who you want to be or doing what you want to do. You know, he manages our shop, he helps with stocking, he helps, you know, to make products, and you know, he's just a stronger person here. He's found his voice, I think. He's found his voice, he's found his, as we are, he's able to express himself enough to say that, you know, he's happier here, and this is where we should all come to. This is where we should all be. Another aspect that I wanted to talk about was the education. And one of the things that I found when my son came to school here, he had this this lesson called SSE, and I never heard of no lesson called SSE in England. And so it's social studies basically, and environment. It's social and environmental studies.
We have that in America.
Okay.
You know,
So
so
they
about social studies.
Yeah. So I never really had that in primary school. I never heard of it, but they had it here. And what I loved about it, he was learning the Gambian anthem. He was learning about all aspects of the Gambia. He was learning about the different groups and people of different, if you like, tribal areas as well as, you know, upper river, lower river, right? He was learning about so many aspects of Gambian life that I was reading this book. I started to read this book and I started to learn. And then he had cultural days where you have to wear a group of the tribe that you want to belong to or that you do belong to, and so we went and had clothes made so that he would belong to the Fulani group, and then he would wear those traditional clothes, and then people would bring a dish. And so you know, we weren't having this like in England. You just have like the flag and everybody comes down and it's just a celebration. That you don't learn about yourself or your culture in England. So that as a specific change has changed him, because he suffered in England. He suffered terribly from racism. And, you know, he was beaten, he was, you know, abused verbally daily. You know, he was accosted daily at school, and to the extent that we was like suing the school before we left. And so for us, seeing our son grow in confidence, grow as himself as an African, and he wanted to come here. One morning he woke up crying inconsolably, crying, and I goes to him, son, what's wrong? You know, come on, what's wrong? I'm trying to make him stop crying. All right, now enough is enough. Yeah, stop crying. You know, you get a bit stern on him. He's still crying. The child's still crying. I said, okay, what are you crying for? I'm thinking he just wants to get out of school. You know, he doesn't want to go to school, because in the end I ended up homeschooling him as well, just like Amma did. You know, because we realized that these schools were toxic for our children. And so once I took him out of school and, you know, homeschool, you know, he's still not happy. What's going on? He said, Mum, I want to go home. I said, son, you're in bed. You know? You're home. He said, no, this is not our home. He said he wants to go home. He wants to go home to Africa. Now, he's been coming here since he was 9 months old. So when he comes here, he feels free. He feels, you know, boundless energy. He feels love. He feels secure and safe, because if he's not in my eyesight, he's in another adult's eyesight, and I know he's safe. And he has to learn respect and manners here. They even learn manners in school. They have a lesson called manners. I never know that. When I saw it in the timetable, I said they actually learn manners. Like, you know, this is they learn. You know, that's why they shake your hand, say hello, auntie, hello, uncle. It's a part of the culture of being here. And us all, you know, as people that have left England or left America, or, you know, people that are living in Gambia and that can influence change, we have a responsibility to do so. All of us have a voice, and all of our voices are important in terms of saying, look, you know, we need to embrace all of the positives that we can transfer here, because we learn skills, and some of those skills we can use here. And that's what I'm saying. When we come, you know, pack your kit bag with all of your skills, because they're transferable. There's nothing that you can't get here. Your big widescreen TV still works here. Yeah, your computer still works here. Your, you know, your your Samsung S or S9 or 10 or your T-Mobile, whatever. You know, at the end of the day, everything you got there, your little trinkets, it still works there. You can still bring your quad bike.
Right.
You can still bring all the things that you got there that makes, you know, your life extra special that you think you've got there. You can bring your Range Rover. You can bring whatever. Yeah, everything you got there, you got here. Yeah, and the only thing is that here you have a better life because you're surrounded by people who are like you.
Right.
Yeah, I mean literally are like you in more ways than one. When I was eating certain food here, like he was saying Dokna, you know, that he recognized from Montserrat. Yeah.